5 things I've learned from writing, directing, and co-producing my first independent feature film is the name of this video. Why? Well, my name is Deborah Richards, and I'm an independent film director from Las Vegas. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. This is a daily vlog about my life as an independent film director and the making of my third feature film. It's called Scissor Mouth. But because today is my 75th episode of my YouTube Film Development Hell, I figured I'd do something a little bit different today, and I'm just going to straight up share some wisdom. So here are 5 things that I learned from writing and directing and co-producing my first independent feature film. But as you guys know, nothing happens without coffee. So let's coffee. Cheers. Coffee. So, as I said, today I'm going to share 5 lessons that I learned as a writer, director, and co-producer on my first independent feature film. And if you stick around to the end, I'm also going to give you guys one bonus tip at the very end that you're going to want to hear if you're ever thinking about making a movie. So buckle up, guys. This is the real. I'm going to spill the tea, not the coffee. And I just want to say that these are in no particular order, and they, by no means are these the only 5 lessons I learned from making my first feature film. I learned hundreds of lessons, but these are 5 that just suddenly, if I was stopped in the street and asked, what are 5 things you learned? These would probably come to mind first. So, let me set the table to give you some kind of context on all of this. I wrote and directed and co-produced my first feature film, which is called Move Me No Mountain, and it came out in 2022. It's available right now. There's links down below. You can watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on Amazon, you can watch it on Tubi. And the budget, the thing people never talk about, and I'm not going to say exactly what the budget was, but I'm going to give you a ballpark. It was well under $500,000. It was well under $500,000, okay? United States dollars. And so that was my first independent feature film. Since then, I've had a second movie come out, which is Shaken and Stirred, a documentary, and again, links down below, and it's really exciting. Just came out a couple months ago. In fact, there's the movie poster up there behind me. I was looking for a postcard, but I don't have any to hand, which is a good thing because it means we gave them all out. So I'm actually in development of my third feature film, which is called Scissor Mouth, and we're in the late stages of development. So that's kind of to set the table and give you some kind of context. I'm a working independent film director, so I've made 2 features, and I'm working on my third. And in between that, I supplement my income by directing TV commercials and doing some post-production work in general. So that's a little bit about where my knowledge base and experience base is coming from. My experience of making independent feature films is very up to date, right? Because I've only been making even though I've been directing and editing professionally for 15 years, I've only been directing my own feature films for, since the pandemic. So my knowledge isn't like classroom knowledge by a professor who used to be in the industry type thing, right? This is like what's going on in the industry in the last few years. I'm in the trenches, I'm making films. Let's get into it. So the first lesson that I want to share with you guys about feature films in today's environment is, I guess it's part of a bigger lesson, but I'll just clip it down to genre, okay? You've got to pick a genre that will work, right? The things that determine a movie's success are literally its genre, its cast, its appropriateness to its budget, its execution, and its marketing. Right? Those are literally the 5 things that will determine whether a movie does well or bad in the marketplace, right? um, what genre it is, who's attached to it, is it budgeted at the appropriate level? um, does it, the marketing and of course the execution, right? It's got to be executed flawless for it to be well received. So the most important thing I learned from my first film is I wanted to make a drama. And even before I made the film, people in the industry warned me, do not make a drama. An indie drama with a soft cast, meaning no one famous, um, is the toughest of sales, right? It's really, really difficult. I mean, and it's weird because as indie directors, for some strange reason, I meet a lot of indie directors at festivals, and I'm friends with directors and stuff, right? And we all talk and stuff. And it's really weird. Like whenever directors want to make that jump from short to features, for some reason, the artist in us, all wants to make dramas. And dramas is probably just about the toughest um, genre to sell. And you've got to sell, you've got to recoup your money, you've got to pay investors back, you've got to have a sustainable career so that you can make another film and so on and so on. So when you make shorts, you don't have to think about these big picture things. You can just make what your heart wants to make. But when you're making features and all of a sudden you're involving money and investors, then you've got to consider the big picture and not just the artistic vision, right? So and drama is a very, very tough genre to sell. It's about as tough as dare I say it, westerns, but maybe even tougher than westerns, right? And a soft cast, meaning no one famous, independent drama is like the kiss of death to sales numbers, okay? And let me kind of highlight this with a story about NatP. NatP, which is a funny word, right? NatP is it's an annual film market in Miami, in America. And as I understand it, it's where networks go to buy from distributors. And was it last year or the year before? I think it was 2 years ago. We went, my production partner and I went to NAPI in Miami, and we actually had a booth there. And it was for our movie Shaken and Stirred. And we had a bar set up, and we had a bartender flipping bottles because our documentary is about that. And we actually gave away 1,000 free cocktails to people at the convention. It cost us a fortune, right? It cost us a lot of money. But we made a lot of friends, both distributors and networks and stuff. So one of the crazy things about NatP is when we registered to get this fancy booth that we set up and everything, we registered months before online. And when we did that, and there's the form, and you have to register what genre you're either selling or buying or representing. And it had all these genres on the list, but drama was not on the list. Drama was not considered a category at NatP because no one is interested in buying drama. And another way you can think of it this way is ask yourself this. As a film, right, if you're a filmmaker thinking, I want to make feature films and I want to make a drama, ask yourself this. When was the last time you bought a no-name or soft cast, like no one famous in it, independent drama online that you purchased? When was the last time? Right? So, so drama is a bad genre. So that was the first big lesson that I learned on my movie that everyone warned me about, but I still steamed into it as a, delicate sunflower artist who wanted to make what my heart wanted to make. And I was like, no, I'm going to make a drama. And it bit me in the ass because it's 10 times harder to market and 10 times harder to sell and recoup money. And that is a lesson that I would like to share with you guys. Do not do drama. Go for sci-fi or horror. And there's a whole bunch of reasons that we can talk about on that another time, something like that. But coffee. I just want to say that because this is my 75th episode of Film Development Hell, this is pretty exciting for me. I've only been on this YouTube journey a couple months with you guys, and to my 242 subscribers, you guys rock. Thank you so much. You're amazing. What can I say? Thank you for being on this journey with me. It's really special. But because we're at a milestone at 75 episodes now, I was thinking it might be fun to do something cool on my 100th episode and answer any questions that you guys have. So between now and my 100th episode, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer in my 100th episode, just write them down in the comments below. Put hashtag 100 so I know to answer that question on the 100th episode. And yeah, I'll answer anything. Obviously, don't get too personal, but I'd like to keep it focused on film and stuff. But yeah, I'm an open book, and I want to thank you guys for being on this journey with me. And if you have any questions, and maybe you guys don't have any questions, and that is cool too. That's totally fine with me. But if you have questions, put them down below. Okay, so let's get set up for the next lesson that I learned. The second biggest lesson I learned in writing, directing, and co-producing my first feature film is don't sweat the wide. Now, let me explain this. And it's so weird because I just realized earlier when I was telling you guys about the first lesson that I learned about genre, that's something that everyone told me before I made my movie. And just like my second lesson, everyone told me don't sweat the wide. And let me explain what that means. As you guys know, the way to shoot a scene, just to start off with, is shoot the master wide, and then go in for your coverage with your reverse shots and your push-ins, and that's called a shootout, right? So you shoot the master, then you shoot it from one side, you push in a bit, you shoot it from that side, and then you do the same from the other side, and then you've got the whole scene shot. Okay, that's like basic shooting a scene 101. And then from there, you can obviously, develop the blocking and the staging, etc. But that's the basic way of shooting a scene. So your master wide is literally that. It's the shot of your whole scene or that section in one long shot, one take, and it's wide, right? Master wide. So the interesting thing about the master wide is, to be honest, the only bits that you should really, really stress over is the beginning and the end. On my last movie, I was doing this one take, and we ended up doing something like 15 takes because I wanted this one shot to be one long shot. And after shooting it, I realized, wow, I really need coverage for it to make sense. So I had to go back and shoot that coverage, but I was losing light because I was trying to get the master shot perfect. You don't need the performance in the master shot perfect from beginning to end, because during that master shot, you'll be cutting to the close-ups or the mediums or whatever, but you'll be cutting away from the master, right? So you really only need the head, the beginning of that shot, and the tail, the end of that master shot, to be really good. But the middle, it's okay if the performance wasn't great in the middle of the shot, because for all performance-based stuff from the actors, you're gonna cut to a close-up because you want to see them reacting and their emotion and all of that, right? So if the master doesn't really, if you do your first take of the master, and yes, the beginning was good and the end was good, but the middle was a bit iffy, don't think that that is a bad take. That's actually a great take, because, or a good take, because you're only gonna, like I say, use the head and the tail. The rest of it you're gonna push in for, and you might end up using some of that middle of the master as a band-aid, but then that is reactive editing in post as opposed to proactive filmmaking. So the lesson here is don't sweat the wide. Lesson learned number 3 from writing, directing, co-producing my first feature film. I was spread too thin. I was the writer, director, co-producer, director of photography, camera girl, drone pilot, production designer, editor, VFX artist, and colorist. And I think this is a problem that a lot of independent filmmakers fall into, is that because we have a lack of access to budget, we have to be creative. We have to get creative with solutions, or learn skills, or do multiple roles. When I decided I wanted to direct when I was in film school all those years ago, um, I needed something to direct. So I thought, oh, I better write something up real quick. Boom, I became a writer. And then after I made that first project, I was like, wow, I need to edit this for my editing class, you know? And then became an editor. And so you know, in today's modern filmmaking, you have to be a Svengali of multiple skills, and know how to make all these different practical and digital disciplines work together in order to bring your vision to life. So, you know, my manager said to me years ago, when you get to bigger and bigger projects, are you going to be able to let go of control of all of these other things? And I said to him that, you know, I can't wait to let go of control. It's not because I'm a control freak. It's because we literally didn't have the budget to employ people to do these things when I knew how to do them myself. Um, and, you know, the lesson learned here is that ultimately the film suffered because of it. I am very capable at each of those things. I am a good camera girl. I am a good editor. I am a good colorist. But when you put it all together, you know, I was so obsessed with, you know, if the story doesn't work, let's give the audience something pretty to look at. That was my mentality as the director and director of photography, that I prioritized that over working to really get the performances that I needed to out of my actors and actresses, because you know, as a DP and director, my brain was split in two. You know, if you're going to direct a movie, during production, focus on that. I could have, we should have taken a step back, and found the right cinematographer for the film and allocated budget there. But because I was DP and director, it looked good, but the performances of the actors suffered. So the big lesson here was that I was just spread too thin. And the other side effect of being spread too thin is that you get, you're not confident, because you're constantly trying to balance so many things and make so many decisions that you can never be fully confident about any one decision. So I ended up being like a very kind of nervous director on set, you know, second guessing myself with everything, and not confident in my execution because I was spread too thin. Cookie, catch up. Okay, so where were we? Lesson number 4. It all starts with the screenplay. Now, I know that's obvious, but I can't stress the importance of getting it right with the screenplay. I think this is a bit of a hot take, but I think it's impossible to make a great movie without a great screenplay. So, when I made my first movie, it all came about because I won a little bit of seed money from a local film competition. And so I quickly wrote the screenplay for Move Me to Mountain in about 4 weeks, entered the competition, won some seed money. I ended up pulling out of the competition because I actually raised a lot more than the seed money. But I was on a head-on collision with production. And because of that, from writing the screenplay to going into production was like 4 or 5 months. Now, the reason why that is an issue is because that is not enough time to have a screenplay, developed. The fourth lesson that I learned with making my first feature is to take more time developing the screenplay. And in fact, that's exactly what we've done on Scissor Mouth. We've taken a couple years developing the screenplay, and it's gone through competitions, revisions, peer notes, festivals, all of it, screenwriting boot camp, all of it, so that it can be as tight as it can possibly be, because that is your blueprint. And you can't make a great movie without a great screenplay. The fifth lesson I learned making my first independent feature film is that once you're done making the film, it's not over. It is far from over. In fact, that's the beginning. Because if you're an independent producer, then you have to bring that film to market. So you're either going to be finding a distributor or distributing it yourself. Regardless, if you're an independent producer, no matter which of those two things you're doing, you're going to end up having to market the film and promote the movie and get people to watch it. Because getting it to market is one thing, but getting people to watch it at the market is another thing. Okay? So it's crazy because it can take, years to make a movie. It took me 2-3 years to make my first feature film. And so, once the long winter of post-production is over and the film is done, that's really when the work begins, because then you got to find a home for it, you got to build an audience for it, you got to connect that home and that audience together. It's a lot of work, and it's ongoing for the life of the film. So whether you're distributing it yourself or you have a distributor, if you want to maximize the potential of that film reaching its audience, you have to market it, you have to advertise it, you have to promote it. You have to continuously do that for the life of the movie. So don't ever think that this, making a movie isn't like a 3-year thing and then, wow, we're done. No. It's think of it as a 7-year, 10-year thing, to be honest, because you're going to be promoting it and pushing it for a long time, because you're going to want to. What's the point of making a magic potato that you can sell again and again and again if you don't keep trying to sell it again and again and again? Right? So that's what I made, a magic potato. Okay, now guys, I promised you a bonus tip for people thinking about making your first feature film. So before I get into that and tell you this bonus tip, I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me on this journey. If you like this long form content, please click like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Like I said earlier, it really helps the channel grow. But also, this isn't like a 5 tips every day kind of channel, right? This is actually a long form look into my life and the making of my third feature film. So if you want to see the inside scoop and how to make a feature film from late development all the way through to production and marketing, this journey is going to take years. If you can't wait years, just tune back in about 3 years' time and you can see how it all pans out. But if you want to be part of that journey and see the process from the nitty gritty, from the inside scoop and the daily daily dish, then hey, thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, join me. I do this 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So now it's time for your bonus tip. Okay, this is a hot take. This is controversial, but trust me, if you take this journey, you'll be thanking me in years to come for this. Whatever your budget is for your first independent movie, whether it be $10,000, whether it be $200,000, whether it be $800,000, whatever your budget is for your first independent movie, split your budget up into 3. A third for the production, a third for post, and a third to market it. All too often, I see too many filmmakers get to the end of making their movie and they have no money left to promote it or to bring it to market. There's just nothing left in the tank, and so no one gets to see this amazing movie that they've spent years crafting, and working on. So that's my big tip. Whatever your budget is, if it's $3,000, simple. 1,000 for production, 1,000 for post, and 1,000 for marketing. If it's $1 million, then 333 across the board. If it's $3 million, you know what to do. Seriously, split it into thirds: production, post, and marketing. That's it for today. If you like this long form content, click in the circle up here. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, if you have questions for my 100th episode, write them down below with the hashtag 100. And I will see you all Friday for more film development hell. Peace.